the older you get, the more you open up your peripheral. And I've talked about this before in different videos, but it's like beautiful because the tunnel vision gets wider and wider and wider every year. And you find yourself going to a music festival you'd never be seen at before. Or you find yourself having a conversation with a friend that differs in opinions that in your 20s you'd have told him he was ridiculous for thinking that, and today you want to understand why he thinks the way he thinks. Every day I get to experience new friends, new networks, new life experiences. That's life to me. It's not just one thing. It's not just one job. It's not just one direction. It's not just working for my children or my wife, whom I love more than anything. It's all of it working together in unison to create this harmony that gives us this feeling of joy. Not just fleeting happiness, but joy, true joy in our days. We all have friends that have started their life in different ways. Graduate college and track A is hard driver, wants to be a partner at a law firm, gets a job at 21, runs through wearing a suit every day, starts a family, starts life, and they are working from day one. No time to enjoy their 20s the way that track B might be going. Track B is your friend that went to Europe and backpacked for 6 months, and then they went to Nicaragua and surfed, and then they started a master's program and paused it, and they have lived life to the fullest early. And maybe they're still living life to the fullest early. I have friends that I love, and I lived through their stories. I mean, the stories were amazing. They dated more people than I ever knew, and they traveled more places than I'd ever seen. And I was on track A. I was 21 wearing a suit, walking to work in a full suit while it rained at the Attorney General's office in Richmond, and my buddies are in their senior year of college, which I skipped most of, to work. And I started a family young, and I had kids young, and I got married and all that stuff, and it was a part of my life that I'm so proud of and I love. There's no right or wrong answer, right? There's no right or wrong answer. But that tunnel vision and focus drove me and drove so many of my peers that they start to notice some things as they get older. The tunnel vision of freedom and fun also helps drive the other individuals, and they have a different track. I mean, I listened to a podcast with Chris Wilson and Tim Ferriss the other day, and Chris Wilson founded Lululemon. It was a phenomenal story. I highly recommend listening to it. But he kind of had this mentality that he did both. He was kind of free thinking, and he also went to work, but he went to work on like oil rigs and in Alaska or something. I mean, it was crazy, but it led him to the world that he started when he started the company. And these experiences, there's, again, no right or wrong answer. But here's the interesting dynamic. You know, there's a movie called Benjamin Button where Brad Pitt starts out, I think, as an older man and becomes younger. And it's funny because I've always felt like that's kind of like our lives when you're a hard charger really young. I work so hard to get a new experience, to have new opportunities, to have freedom, whether it be financial freedom, protecting my family, not being ever required to do something, like just having complete freedom and opportunity, but it required hard work and my head down. And sometimes you sacrifice life along the way, experiences along the way. And the older you get, the more you open up your peripheral. And I've talked about this before in different videos, but it's like beautiful because the tunnel vision gets wider and wider and wider every year. And you find yourself going to a music festival you'd never be seen at before. Or you find yourself having a conversation with a friend that differs in opinions that in your 20s you'd have told him he was ridiculous for thinking that, and today you want to understand why he thinks the way he thinks. You know, this peripheral allows you to see your siblings in a different way. It allows you to understand your parents in a different way. It slows down life in ways that you could never imagine. But most importantly, it challenges the way you've been living. What you're seeing is the value of the freedom that someone had when they were backpacking through Europe, and how valuable time is, because we are not gifted a guarantee of time in our life. We don't know when it ends. We have an expiration date of which we don't know. And whenever you expire, you hope you lived life, not spent your entire life thinking about how you're going to live your life, right? And so some of the things that I've done over the years to combat this, and some of the things I've found successful entrepreneurs do, and you probably find yourself just like this. You know, maybe you're a mom and you just made your family number one, and that's all you've ever thought about, and you find yourself now where they're all going to college and they're getting out of the house. And you got to reinvent yourself because your purpose has changed. Your experience and your life has so much value to the rest of the world. All things I love as an entrepreneur to be able to see. So, you know, I think we have to find moments. When you're a hard charger and you're singularly focused on a goal, you actually have to create moments in your day. Pauses. One I've shared before is when I find myself running to the next appointment or running down the stairs, I stop at the edge of the steps and I say a quick prayer. And I literally pause. When I'm sitting in my car and I'm getting ready to run to the next appointment, instead of jumping out of the car and going in, yes, I may be 1 or 2 minutes late, but most of the time I'm not. Here's what's happening. I'm taking a moment to just breathe. 1 minute. Deep breaths, relaxation, a pause in the day, a 20-minute power nap, whatever it is. These are daily things I do. Weekly, I really try to plan breathing moments, moments with my family, moments by myself, moments to read. And I kind of have to plan them because if I don't, they're gone. Exercise, right? Just being able to exercise in the morning gives me freedom. And then the other thing I've noticed is this. When you're hard charging, if you don't plan experiences in the actual moments of life, you miss all of them and you feel like you're working for nothing. You feel like you're literally working for nothing. So when you find yourself doing that, you really have to be self-aware enough to take a pause. So one of the things that I find is, you know, if you're going to a conference, I might book a day before or a day after to allow myself to have a recharge, to enjoy a day where I get to go see something I've never seen, a baseball game. I just got back from Chicago. The Cubs were in town 2 nights in a row and I did not get to see them. I'm not a Cubs fan, but I've never been to Wrigley. I made a mental note, I will not go back to Chicago and not do that next time. But I had to be aware of it. I also took some time to enjoy some great dinners and to see some friends in between my meetings, all of which make me appreciate what I do, the pace I run at, and why I do what I do more. See, I think this gets confused with people that see you working too much. Some people that punch a clock and go 9 to 5 definitely don't understand an entrepreneur's world. If you work a 9 to 5, it doesn't mean you can't understand an entrepreneur's mindset. You may have an ownership stake every day in what you do. But the other side is an entrepreneur kind of always is working. And so because of that, if they don't build these moments in their days, their weeks, their months, their year, they never stop. And they don't have a hard start and a hard stop every day. And I think we still need to create them because there's some value to having hard starts and hard stops. There's also a value to loving what you do. I look at some of my best friends in the world. They love their careers. They love their jobs. And their families often misunderstand them. They say they work too much. They say that they give too much to the company or they give too much to their work life. But to them, they love it. They live it. Everything to them goes together in these 3 circles of passion and relationships and work and wealth. And I think there's some value in all of that. So to bring this all back around, right? I started an old man and I'm getting younger every day. And I really feel that way. I feel like the peripheral of life and experiences has actually allowed me through some of the freedoms that I've felt, the freedoms of having a healthy family, being able to protect my family, the freedom I feel with the career I've chosen and the company that we've started and the people I've surrounded myself with. My entire peripheral of life is actually making me feel younger and making me live life better. And those experiences are providing me with even more open-mindedness, even more peripheral. I still value my buddies that backpacked Europe. I still love learning from their trips all around the world and the surf trips and everything that they've done. I love learning from them to this day. I don't diminish it just because I chose a different path. But the older I get, the more I appreciate it. The more I appreciate different ways of thinking. the more I appreciate the simplicity of life, or moments of pause, or whatever it is that was not my life 20 years ago. And I want my children to think of the world that way. I honestly want them to choose the path that works best for them. If they want to go to college, great. If they want to be a hard charger like me, that's the only way I would have lived. I was an old soul when I started life. I've always been an old soul. And I'm proud of that. But being an old soul also means sometimes I was definitely driven towards one objective. And as I've opened that peripheral, I'm really loving feeling young and seeing new things and experiencing new things and learning from my own self and my own old soul. Are you that way? Are you an entrepreneur that's found yourself, really feeling like maybe you love what you do so much you don't want to stop, but you also have this peripheral of life that's allowing you to see things in a whole new light? Every day I get to experience new friends, new networks, new life experiences. That's life to me. It's not just one thing. It's not just one job. It's not just one direction. It's not just working for my children or my wife, whom I love more than anything. It's all of it working together in unison to create this harmony that gives us this feeling of joy. Not just fleeting happiness, but joy, true joy in our days. So, I don't know if you think that way, if that's something that triggers other thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to understand if you've ever had this analogy, if you've ever felt yourself kind of getting younger as you get older, experiencing more, opening your mind. Not the opposite of what a lot of people do. A lot of people get older and they close their mind and they don't open up to anything. I want to be the opposite of that. So I challenge you to share with me what's on your brain. What have you changed your mind on? Because changing your mind's okay, especially if you continue to listen and learn and open. So I'm Scott Danner. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to hearing your thoughts.